I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa baraka ala abdihi wa rasulihi al-ameen. Nabiyyina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Until you start calling, yesterday, or let us assume it was last week actually, we talked about knowledge in the Quran, and we stated some of the evidences of the importance of knowledge, and that knowledge, when referred to in the Quran and in Sunnah, it refers to the knowledge of the Quran, of the tafsir, of the Sunnah, of the interpretation of the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, of the fundamentals of fiqh itself. So it's anything that relates to Islamic sciences, providing that the intention is for the sake of Allah. And this is what souls are purified by. When your intention is for the sake of Allah and you learn and acquire knowledge that are related to the Quran and Sunnah, you've got it made. However, there is another type of knowledge that is also divided into two types. One type that is permissible, and this type is the general types of knowledge we know of, such as medicine, engineering, physics, chemistry, mathematics, etc. If the intention is for the sake of Allah, in the sense that a person is studying it and is teaching it and is applying it in his life so that he would elevate the Muslims and he would bring benefit to Islam, then he is rewarded for that. And he is considered to be in the way of Allah Azza wa Jal. Not as the Islamic sciences, but he will be rewarded as long as his intention is for the sake of Allah. But what about if he's not doing this for the sake of Allah? He's doing it for a promotion. He's doing it for a better source of income, to elevate his standard of living. In this case, it becomes permissible, but he's not rewarded, and it's not a sin. However, there is a second type of such knowledge which is considered to be forbidden. And this is the knowledge of astrology, the knowledge that claims stars to have an effect on our lives. So those who follow the zodiacs and their signs and the stars, and they believe that it has an impact on their lives. Of course, this is an act of blasphemy, the belief of it, and it definitely is an act of blasphemy when a person learns it. So this type is forbidden. If you learn how to do or deal with black magic and sorcery, this is also forbidden, though it's science, though it's knowledge, but it is the type of forbidden knowledge. Also learning acting and singing and going to such arts, this is forbidden in Islam. Brother Hakim or Abdul Hakim from Nigeria.
Assalamu alaikum, Shaikh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
We have a peculiar situation in Nigeria.
Okay.
Interest in Islam is forbidden. But we have a scenario where government will be building houses, and government will give those houses to civil servants or other individuals at a price with interest.
Okay.
We don't have any alternative except you don't take at all. And if you don't take, there are more than enough Christians in Nigeria that will take such buildings. What do we do in such instances?
Okay, I will answer your question, inshallah. Brother Abdul Hakim is talking about an issue in his country, Nigeria, And he's saying that the government offers loans to those who would like to build houses, but it is interest based. And he's saying that if we decline taking such loans, the Christians would do it. So what is the situation? What is the answer? And the answer is very simple. Allah Azza wa Jal made giving interest one of the major sins in Islam. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, may Allah curse those who take interest, and that is the government or the bank, and those who give interest, and that is you, and those who write it or document it down, and these are usually the accountants or the people who register such debts in records, a data entry or whatever, and those who witness it, the two witnesses who've had witnessed such a transaction. All, the Prophet says, ﷺ, all of them are in the same degree of sin. So it is not permissible for you to accept such a loan. Now what the consequences may be, this is not your problem. Whether it's Christians who are going to benefit of it, or it's Jews or anyone, so be it. The most important thing for me as a Muslim, to be saved on the Day of Judgment, so that I would not be questioned by Allah Azza wa Jal, why did you take or why did you give interest over the loan? Well, you know it's riba and it's haram. If I justify this in front of Allah by saying, oh Allah, because I'm afraid that the Christians would have taken it, Allah would tell me, then what's your problem? Let them take it. They're kuffar, they're disbelievers, so even if they take it, they're going to be held accountable on the Day of Judgment. If the government is offering you free wine bottles or champagne for the New Year's, and if you decline taking it, the Christians would take it. So would any proper Muslim say that, well, in this case, might as well take it so that they would not benefit of it? Definitely not. So I'm afraid that you have to try to encourage Islamic financing so that this would take place, inshallah, in your country. You have a majority of Muslims, you have a lot of Muslims, and if they collaborate, if they start, even businessmen, Muslim businessmen should get together and should try to form an Islamic bank with an Islamic board, Sharia board, that would justify their transactions in accordance with the Quran and Sunnah. And maybe then the government would start to deal with such banks and would support these dealings in an Islamic fashion, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. Coming back to the issue, I believe that last week another sister from Nigeria called, but it was time to conclude the program, so I did not get time to answer her question. And if I recall correctly, her question was regarding a woman who is being continuously bearing children, breastfeeding, and then the cycle goes on and on. So for 5-6 years, she did not fast Ramadan. So she's asking, what is the ruling on that? And the answer is that she, as long, alhamdulillah, that she's able to make up for these days later on, even after a year, even after a few years, if this is the case, alhamdulillah, she is obliged, she must wait until she is free from any obstacles, and then she has to make up for the missed Ramadans, even if it was 5 years or 10 years. Brother Muhammad Nuruddin from Nigeria. Well, we lost him. I hope he calls back again. Now, Allah Azza wa Jal has told us how to identify proper knowledge. When he said, subhanahu wa ta'ala, إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهَ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ الْعُلَمَاءِ. It is only those who have knowledge among his slaves, among his servants, that fear Allah. So if we would like to identify who fears Allah from those who do not fear Allah, we have to look at the knowledge that they possess. And if their knowledge leads to the fear of Allah, then this is the proper knowledge, and they're considered to be knowledgeable. If we look at people with this definition, we will be able, inshallah, to identify who are those of knowledge. Meaning, with this ayah, that it is only those who have knowledge among his slaves that fear Allah, by this ayah, if I look at a shepherd, if I look at a farmer, if I look at someone who works in a job that does not appeal to me, a janitor, for example, if I look at such a person and I find him practicing, though he's illiterate, I find him praying in the first row in the masjid, I find him fasting, I find him avoiding forbidden things, this person is a scholar in my eyes, and he's a person of knowledge by the definition of the Quran. We have Liana from Saudi Arabia. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Shaykh, I have two questions.
Okay.
One is, what is the ruling regarding Ghaib Mayat prayer?
Regarding?
Ghaib Mayat prayer.
I didn't understand it.
Ghaib Mayat prayer.
I'm unable to understand your question. Guy?
For a dead person, praying for a person who's prayed and buried back in our homeland.
Oh, so burying someone dead in his homeland.
Yeah, and they have prayed there also. Can we pray from here again?
Okay, so you're asking about Salat al-Ghaib, which is a prayer of a person who's not present.
Yeah.
Okay, and the second question?
And my second question is, what is the ruling regarding calling pet names? Like my daughter, I call her names like, her name is Liana, but I call her Linno, Leah, even though I don't know whether it has a meaning or not. Is it permitted? Is it permissible?
Calling your mother in a different name than her name?
No, calling my daughter.
Calling your daughter in a different name than hers?
Yeah.
In the sense of, changing the name, like the Prophet used to call Aisha, he used to call her Aish, or he used to call her Al-Humayra. So
like that, and my daughter's name is Liana. I call her Leah, Linno,
okay.
Like that.
Okay. I got your question, inshallah. Okay. Sister Liana is asking about the ruling of what is known as Salat al-Ghaib, which is praying funeral prayer over a person who died, but his body is not in front of us. And the origin of this is the hadith when the Prophet ﷺ is in the Sahih, as narrated by Jabir and Abdullah, may Allah be pleased with him and with his father, and also other companions, when the Prophet ﷺ gave them the news that An-Najashi died today, and he took them to Al-Baqi', to a place outside of the masjid, and he made them in rows, in 3 rows, and he led them in prayer, Salatul Janaza, or the funeral prayer, which you all know of. So scholars differed on the ruling on praying over someone who died, but his body is not present. Abu Hanifa and Imam Malik, their school of thought, forbid this completely. Imam al-Shafi'i, may Allah have mercy on their souls, all of them, he said that this is permissible. And Imam Ahmad, may Allah have mercy on his soul, said that it is permissible only for those who have impact, a positive impact over Islam. It is not permissible to offer it for anyone. So my cousin died a couple of weeks ago, and in the masjid I go to the imam and say, let's offer Salat al-Janaza, funeral prayer. He says, who for? He said, I say, my cousin, he died in so-and-so country. So he offers this. No, this is not the case. And unfortunately, it has escalated. Some innovators pray every single night funeral prayer, and they offer it for anyone who had died anywhere in the world, those whom we know and those whom we do not know. And of course, this is an innovation. The Prophet ﷺ, and you have to be careful, did not offer funeral prayer over people who died among his companions. So for example, he did not offer funeral prayer for those who have been martyred in Mu'tah, such as Zayd ibn Haritha, Ja'far ibn Abi Talib, and Abdullah ibn Rawaha. Though there is a dispute among scholars whether to offer funeral prayer over the deceased or not, who have been martyred. So the most authentic opinion, I will get to that inshallah after we get Salim from Nigeria. Yes, brother Salim.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, I want to ask one question.
Okay.
But I believe that Islam is complete. I believe that Islam is complete.
Brother Salim, listen to me. Talk to me through the phone. Do not listen to me from the TV. Turn down the volume of the TV.
Okay, yeah, Sheikh. I believe that Islam is complete.
Okay.
Therefore, it encompasses all the knowledge. And you can get the reward based on the intention that you have prepared yourself looking for that knowledge, as you said before.
Okay.
If your intention in any other field of knowledge, that your intention is for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you get the reward of it. And if it is contrary, it may happen differently. But what I need clarification is that, for instance, if I'm a scientist, I studied this scientist field in order to assist my country, to assist my fellow Muslims in the world. Therefore, for instance, in course of this course, I found myself faulty in my country. What is going to be my fate in the hereafter?
Okay, I will answer your question, inshallah. Sister Bala, or Brother Bala, excuse me. Brother Bala from Nigeria? Okay, he's gone. Okay, going back to Liana's question. So this is what the four schools of thought say. Now, if you go back to the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ, he offered only this funeral prayer over the Najashi. And the Najashi is the title of anyone who rules Abyssinia, like Caesar, like those who rule the Roman Empire would usually be called Caesars. So Najashi's name was Asmaha. And when he passed away, the Prophet offered the prayer, ﷺ, but he never offered the prayer on a person who was not there at all. He used to go to the graveyard. If he missed the funeral prayer or someone was buried before him being notified, he would go to the grave itself and he would offer funeral prayer, as he did with the black woman who used to clean the masjid. Therefore, the most authentic opinion is that we do not offer funeral prayer over someone who's not there, except if we know that he was buried and no Muslim has offered funeral prayer, like Asmaha, like An-Najashi. An-Najashi, when he was in Abyssinia, he had no Muslims around him, so they buried him as they bury the dead people, but the funeral prayer, as per the Islamic Sharia, was not performed over him. And that is why the Prophet ﷺ offered it. And to strengthen this opinion, when Abu Bakr died, he was only prayed the funeral prayer over him by the people who attended his funeral. People in Damascus, people in Egypt, people all over the Muslim world, not even in Mecca. They did not offer funeral prayer for Abu Bakr, for Umar, for Uthman, or for Ali. May Allah be pleased with them when they died, though they had the greatest impact over the Muslim Ummah. As for your second question, when you play with your daughter or with your son, and you give them names out of love and mercy and care, this is permissible. So if your daughter is Liana and you call her Lulu or Looney or whatever, not Looney as in crazy, but Looney, yes, this is permissible, and there is nothing wrong in that at all. As for Brother Salim most likely is, if I understood his question correctly, he is complaining about the distinction and the difference between being a knowledgeable person in Islamic sciences and being a knowledgeable person with good intention in worldly matters or worldly sciences such as medicine, engineering, etc. Okay, I will get inshallah to Brother Salim's question. We have a caller from Nigeria, and I don't know the name, so assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam, Sheikh. It's Sister Bilqis from Nigeria.
Yes, sister, what can I do for you?
Sheikh, I'd like to ask, I'd like to know the ruling of the ulamas concerning taking pictures.
You would like to know the meaning of?
The ruling of the ulamas concerning the fatwa concerning taking pictures.
Taking pictures.
Yes.
Okay.
Sheikh.
Okay. I will answer your question, inshallah. Any more questions?
No more questions. Thank you.
Okay. Brother Abdul Aziz from Nigeria. Yes, Brother Abdul Aziz.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Please, I just want to let me be clear about
Okay.
interest in Islam.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, in terms of mortgaging, if government should give you mortgaging, maybe you pay, for example, maybe 20 years, but they'll add their own.
Okay.
Maybe an entity pay 100,000. Maybe they will say you should pay 120,000 within 20 years. So how is this situation going to be held?
I will answer your question, inshallah. Okay. As for Brother Salim, his question was, to my understanding, is who is better on the Day of Judgment? And definitely those who have good intention will surpass, will exceed, will top those who do not have good intention. But if they both have good intention, those who studied Islamic knowledge of the Quran, of the Sunnah, of the fiqh, and they have good intention in doing so, and another person who does not have the same knowledge, he's a Muslim, he has the highest grades in PhD, or he's a professor in medicine or in engineering or in chemistry or physics, with good intention. If both of them have the same good intention, then those with the Islamic knowledge are in a higher position. Because everything that comes in the Quran that praises knowledge, this is referring to the knowledge of the Quran and the Sunnah. It is referring to the knowledge that purifies the soul. And definitely when you study medicine or you study physics, though you want to benefit the people, it is not as the studying of the Quran and of the Sunnah. Okay, we have Kargun from Sweden, or Karwan.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Sheikh, I just wonder how can you give us some advice? How I can seek knowledge, inshallah?
How can you?
Seek knowledge. How should I seek knowledge?
How to seek knowledge?
Yes.
Okay, I will answer your question, inshallah. Now, going back to the sister that called from Nigeria regarding the ruling of ulama over photography, taking pictures. Now, we have to know something for sure, that they all agree that drawing a picture, whether it's two-dimensional or making a statue which is three-dimensional, this is completely forbidden. There's no dispute among real scholars, because the Prophet ﷺ has highlighted this and made it one of the major sins in Islam, that is simulating or imitating Allah's creation. And by doing this, you are actually trying to do something that only Allah Azza wa Jal can do. And those who draw pictures or make sculptures, they will be punished severely in their graves until of the Day of Judgment. And on the Day of Judgment, they will be punished severely because of that. And Allah Azza wa Jal in some hadiths, would put life in what they have created and it will torture them. And in other hadith, they will be instructed or asked to create something and they would not even create a piece of grain. So it is one of the major sins. Now regarding the taking pictures, it's an issue of dispute among scholars. But before taking your, we have Maryam from Nigeria.
Yes, Assalamu alaikum.
Salam rahmatullah.
Please, I want to know about this dua. This dua mashbul. And that is my first question. And the second one is...
I did not get your first... I didn't get your first question.
And
I didn't get your first question. You want to know about?
Oh, I want to know about this dua mashbul.
What is this dua?
Dua mashbul, yes.
It's called dua mashhur?
Yeah, yes. I want to know about this dua mashbul.
Okay. And the second question?
Then the second question, yes, I want to know the difference between qabli and ba'di.
You want to know?
The difference between qabli and ba'di.
Okay, a difference between qabli and ba'di. Okay.
Ba'di.
Okay,
Yes.
I will answer your question, inshallah. Brother Muhammad from Nigeria. Brother Muhammad.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Listen to me from the phone.
I want you to shed more light of the on jealousy among Muslims.
Jealousy.
Yes.
Okay. Among the Muslims or among the husband and wife?
So among the Muslims generally, among the Muslims.
Okay, I will answer the question, inshallah. I believe we have Brother Muhammad from Saudi Arabia.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. How are you, Sheikh?
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Hayyakallah, bro.
Thank you very much for your so good program, sir.
Jazakallah khair.
I have one question.
Okay.
Is there a difference between the prayers of men and women in Islam?
Okay.
Because most of the people have the saying that Abu Hanifa's ways of prayer, Rahmatullah prayer of way is correct, and others are not correct. Something like this, you know.
I will answer your question, inshallah. Any more questions?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, bro. Alaikum salam. I believe that we will try to answer the questions. We will not take any calls until, inshallah, we finish most of them. So, regarding pictures, scholars have different opinions. The majority say that this is not permissible because it's a picture. And the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, he said that may Allah Azza wa Jal curse those who take pictures, surah. So they said that this is the same meaning of the word, but those who differed with them said, yes, but photography was not at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. And when you take a picture, a photograph, it's different than when you draw. Even if you look at the Mona Lisa, for example, by Da Vinci. If you look at it, it's a drawing. But if you take a picture of the same woman, of course, you're not supposed to look at it, but this is not the point. I'm talking about the difference between what a person drew and what the actual person looks like. The actual photograph is not a simulation of Allah's creation. This is Allah's creation. So if I look in myself at the mirror, this is me. I'm not going to look at the mirror and say, MashaAllah, this guy looks exactly like me, but it's not me. This is me. And likewise, if I sign my check and someone photocopies it, I don't have balance in my bank account, but regardless, and he shows me the original and the Xerox copy, I would say that this is my signature, though it's a Xerox copy, because it's identical. So scholars who say that it is permissible to take photographs, they say that it is recommended not to do so unless there is a need. But it is not considered to be what the Prophet ﷺ has cursed. And they gave few guidelines. For example, they say that you cannot hang them on the wall, you cannot take pictures of grown-up adult women. So if you have your daughter who is 15 years of age or 14 years of age, You don't take her picture, because even if no one is going to see it except you, again, it is forbidden to take a picture, because there is a possibility that people would look at it. And you may not keep pictures of deceased people, people who had died, because then this might lead to something that is more greater than taking pictures by itself. And this is what I believe in. We have a short break. Stay tuned, and inshallah we'll be right back.
As everyone knows, today Arabic is considered as very important, very significant language. How can we produce the sound, the state of voicing, place of articulation, the manner of articulation? So in Arabic, the words which are written are pronounced.
We will learn how to write and pronounce Arabic letters correctly in depth. Explanation via board and presentation with many other important factors.
And we have today more than 300 million people speak Arabic language. Not only in the Middle East, but you can find a lot of people speak Arabic language in Asia, Europe, North America, and in South America.
What are you waiting for? Grab your notebook and pencil and stay tuned for Learn Arabic at Huda TV.
Please, brothers and sisters, in particular brothers, husbands, divorce is the last resort.
Even when I was given the topic, the art of divorce, I was thinking, why are we talking about a divorce?
As they say in management, do you take serious decisions when you are angry? No one is taking a very serious decision in his life, maybe in his business, while you are angry.
A divorce happening every 6 minutes.
We are not talking about enjoying the divorce, but we are talking about certain steps to be followed in order to avoid divorce, or minimize the possibility of divorce, or minimize the consequences of divorce. Any divorce taking place have many ill effects. So we would like to minimize those ill effects.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back. Brother Abdul Aziz from Nigeria also called regarding mortgages, and it's the same concept that we've dealt with Brother Abdul Hakim at the beginning of this episode. Any loan that has interest on top of it is considered to be riba and is forbidden. So whether I give you $1 and I ask you to pay them at 2 after a year, after a month, after a week, or I give you $1 million and ask you to give me $100 on top of that as an interest. It's considered to be riba. It's one of the major sins of Islam and is forbidden. Whether you want to buy a house by mortgage, or you want to lease a car, or you want to buy a property or a plot, it's the same ruling. Regarding Brother Carry On, if I recorded his name correctly, from Sweden, he's saying that what's the proper methodology to seeking knowledge? Well, seeking knowledge has to be with someone who's knowledgeable more than you. It is completely, not completely, it's quite difficult to seek knowledge on your own, because you need someone to correct you if you make a mistake. And among the best means of seeking knowledge is to be associated with a sheikh, with a scholar, and you read to him a number of certain books, and he corrects you and he explains what's hidden between the lines, and he gives you the proper methodology of learning proper knowledge. So you start with the Quran, which is the best book of knowledge, by reading it, by memorizing it, by knowing the interpretation and the commentary of what the companions said about it, of what the Prophet ﷺ interpreted some of its verses. By doing this, you start to purify your soul. Of course, you need to know Arabic, but if this is quite difficult or impossible, then you have to look for another alternative, and that is by going through the interpretation by your own language, and then learn the hadith, learn the fiqh with the imam. If this is not possible, there are online universities that you can enlist in, and you have a proper methodology of studying these books, but in a different manner, and there would be an interaction with the scholars and etc. And this would be one of the best means. And there are a lot of other ways. Of course, among them is that you should devote a portion of your time, of your day, 2 to 3 hours, to reading and asking. Without asking, you cannot learn. If you just keep on reading and listening without pondering on it, without asking and objecting, Shaykh, why is this? Why is that? What's the reference? This is one of the best ways of acquiring knowledge. Hayat from Nigeria. I think Hayat is gone. Abdullah from Nigeria. He's gone as well. Okay. We move on to Sister Maryam. She asked about Dua al-Mashhud. I don't know this Dua al-Mashhud. I have to go and search if there's anything in the books of Hadith on this regard, but personally I don't know it, so I apologize. She asked what's the difference between Qabli and Ba'di. Qabli means before, Ba'di means after, and this is usually refers to the voluntary prayers which are before the Fard prayer, as in the case of Dhuhr. We have 4 voluntary rak'ahs before Dhuhr itself, and after you pray Dhuhr, you have 2 voluntary sunnah, that is Ratiba, after. So this is Qabli and this is Ba'di. Brother Muhammad asked a question about jealousy between the people, and jealousy, it might not be the proper word. The proper word would be probably envy, because jealousy is something that can be positive. I feel jealous if someone talks to my wife or someone talks to my daughter. I feel jealous if my wife goes out exposed or showing some of her flesh, or showing some of her hair, or showing her face. This is the proper jealousy. I would not like my wife to work with other men in mixed environments. This is proper jealousy, and it's permissible. Not only that, it is highly recommended in Islam. So what brother... So I think what Brother Muhammad was talking about is envy. We have a Sister Asya from Saudi.
Assalamu alaikum
wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yes, sister.
Sheikh, I have 2 questions.
Okay.
Question number 1, is it allowed to take the sweets on the occasion of a birthday? If someone is celebrating birthday and giving the sweets, so we are not celebrating birthday, but they give some chocolates or cake. And question number 2, is it allowed to celebrate a wedding anniversary by exchanging gifts, not a throwing party, but exchanging gifts for the spouse or something like this?
Okay. Yuzaki. Sister Malia from Nigeria. Sister Malia.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Yes, sister.
Sheikh, I'm asking about that fasting that I asked that time. I had to explain that to Jazakallah Khair.
Wallahi, I did not.
What I'm really asking now is some sheikhs really in my country are interpreting the way you are gonna repay the fast. Some are saying that after 1 year, if you will pray, you will give food to the needy one. After another one, you will ask another thing again, like maybe another two mudu or something on it. So I want to know, am I going to pay the fasting like normal fasting, like I will, like the way I need it, without putting something on it, without feeding needy? And my second question is,
I'm unable to understand. I'm unable to understand your first question.
Somebody asked about the fasting. One of my sons, I feed it. I feed me during Ramadan, so they asked me that since I will not do it, I should feed it to another person. So am I going to do the fasting for the other one again? And my third question is, I'm asking on how about what of the working class mother? What is the aspect of working class mother in Islam?
Of what?
Or housewife?
Of murder?
Yeah.
What is the ruling on murder if someone kills someone?
Yeah, like I'm a mother, I want to be going out to work. What is the role of teaching? To give food for my husband is able. So am I going to be working? Is it good for me, or is it good? It's better for me to be staying at home.
Wallahi, Sister Maria, I'm unable to understand your question. This is my own shortcoming. I'm unable to answer. If you send me an email, and inshallah, I will try my best to attack or actually answer this. Sister Asia had, okay, Brother Mahmoud from Oman.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Shaykh, I have one question.
Yes, brother.
Women wearing hijab, is it necessary to cover the face entirely in light of Quran and Sunnah?
Okay. Second question or one question only?
Only one question.
Okay, Jazakallah khair, Brother Mahmoud. Any more callers? Okay. Sister Asia asked about, she knows that celebrating birthdays is haram in Islam because it's not part of our religion. It is coming to us from other religions, other cultures. She's asking about what's the ruling on if someone gives us sweets or sends us a piece of the cake because they celebrated their own birthday, so they're giving gifts away. I believe that as long as you did not participate in that birthday party and you did not congratulate them and you received this food, this birthday was not a religious celebration. Therefore, to me, my own opinion is that it is permissible for you to take that birthday, but do not fall into the mistake of saying, oh, Jazakallah khair, or thank you, have a happy birthday. No, this is not permissible in Islam. As for marriage anniversaries, and she's saying that I know that it is not permissible to celebrate marriage anniversaries, but what about exchanging gifts? Again, it is a form of celebration to exchange gifts. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not against at all giving your spouse a gift, but do not choose that particular day. As Muslims, we value, we cherish our wives or our spouses, and we do this throughout the whole year. We don't need a particular occasion or a celebration or anniversary to honor them, and then the rest of the year we step on their stomachs. This is not the Islamic way. We cherish, we value our spouses, and to the best of our abilities. Of course, nobody's perfect. But to designate one day as an anniversary to give a gift, or to choose Valentine's Day to give your loved one a gift, all of this is not part of our culture. It's not part of our religion. And the Prophet ﷺ highlighted this by saying, whoever imitates, whoever mimics, whoever copies a people, he would be among them. So if you copy the Jews, you'll be among them. If you copy the Christians, you'll be among them. And these celebrations did not come to us from the Muslims, and hence we are not allowed to do it. Okay, we have Abdullah from Nigeria. I think he's gone. Then Barira. Barira from Nigeria. Barira from Nigeria.
Hello, assalamu alaikum, ya Shaykh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I want to say congratulations for all that you are doing in Huda, both you and Sheikh Salah. May Allah bless all of you and
Ameen.
all the staff in Huda and the Muslims all over the world.
Ameen.
Thank you very much. We are
Ameen.
very happy.
Jazakumullah.
And it's not a question, but just an advice, if it is going to be possible. You have a lot of viewers in Nigeria, and we are learning very, very much from this blessed channel.
Alhamdulillah.
So it's just an advice that if it is going to be possible, I see that you are all having a great difficulty in understanding some of the people when they ask questions due to the language.
True.
The heavy accent of the English. So please bear with us, and if it is possible, to maybe have somebody on standby who can understand that kind of English and then be translating or writing it for you and passing it over. Because we are honestly benefiting from all these questions and the answers, and we appreciate the fact that you are being so patient, all of you, and bearing with us, and may Allah continue to bless you and to guide all of you and all of us till the end of time, inshallah.
Jazakumullah khair. I very highly appreciate Sisters Barira's suggestion. It's a very valid one, and I hope inshallah the management of Huda would do something like that. We value our viewers in Nigeria greatly. We look inshallah forward for having the Muslim Ummah in Nigeria following the Quran and Sunnah. And this is extremely important. I do not know what's happening in Nigeria. I have no knowledge. All what I hear is from the CNN and from the BBC about the disturbances, about the killing, about the violence, about the bombings, and all of this is not related to my religion as a Muslim. So I don't know who's doing this, and I cannot point a finger and say that there are extremists, because I'm not receiving what's actually happening on the ground. All what I'm hearing is from non-Muslims conveying the news to us, so I can't point any fingers. But I value the people of Nigeria because they are so keen on learning Islam. It's very obvious that the majority of those who are calling from Nigeria, we have to promote Quran and the Sunnah with the understanding of the Salaf. And we have to annihilate, we have to defend Islam, we have to stop those, if there are any, who are trying to tarnish the reputation of my religion, of Islam, the peaceful religion, by giving a bad image about the Muslims, or by going into means and ways that the Prophet ﷺ forbade and he warned us from following. So I hope the management will take this into consideration. Sister Maryam from Nigeria. Wa alaykum assalam wa rahmatullah. I have very difficulty with the accent.
Sister Maryam again calling from Nigeria.
Okay.
That the one I told you is Dua Mashlul, M-A-S-H-L-U-L.
Mashlul.
Dua Mashlul, yes.
Okay, there isn't anything in the Sunnah. There isn't anything in our Sunnah that refers to this Dua ul-Mashlul. Mashlul in Arabic means paralyzed. So as if you're telling me that there is a specific dua for those who are paralyzed, and there isn't anything of such. We go back to Brother Mahmoud from Oman. Is it? No, we go to Brother Muhammad regarding the issue of envy. In Islam, it is not permissible to have envy. I cannot look at your house, I cannot look at your car, I cannot look at your health and envy you, because envy is forbidden in Islam. Envy is wishing that all this goodness and blessings and favor of Allah upon you be removed. So if I see a big house and I say, this guy doesn't deserve it, I wish Allah Azza wa Jal makes it burn. If I see a beautiful car, the guy didn't have an accident in a whole month, what is this? So I give you my worst of feelings, and this is completely forbidden in Islam. And it only shows that this person with envy in his heart is a person in distress, is a poor person, he's sick, because he's not appreciating Allah's gifts, he's not appreciating Allah's favor upon him, and instead he looks at others and look down at himself, thinking that he's deprived from Allah's mercy, so he has a big problem. Brother Muhammad from somewhere, I think from Saudi, he asked, is there any difference between a prayer of a man and a woman? And the answer is no. Men and women to pray alike. Why? Because the Prophet said, "An-nisa'u shaqa'iqur rijal." The women are the sisters of men. So whatever comes in the Quran instructing them to do it, they have to do it exactly as men. They are equal in the sense that in the terms of instructions, they're equal. And their equality is not as people think, that men and women are equal. So my wife had few children, she comes to me now and says, listen, from now on we're equal, you have children. This is not, I'm not going to conceive. So there's no equality, there is fairness and justice. However, in prayer, the Prophet said, pray as you have seen me pray. So we learn how to pray from the hadiths of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, and they did not differentiate between men and women. So they pray exactly alike. Now, some scholars said that when a woman is praying and people are looking at her, she should not spread her hands when she's prostrating. She should not do certain things because this would expose her body. We don't have any instruction of this in the Quran, in the Sunnah, nor in the companions' hadith. So it is an issue of ijtihad. This is what the Imam thought would be best. So if a woman is praying in a place where men are looking at her, she is not instructed or recommended to pray in a form that would draw attention to her. She should conceal herself to the best of her ability. But when she's praying alone or in the middle or in the midst of women, no, she must pray as the Prophet ﷺ instructed her to do so. Brother Mahmoud from Oman, he's asking the same old questions that people have been asking for hundreds of years. What's the ruling on covering a woman's face? The consensus of all scholars of Islam that covering the face is recommended. Let me repeat that. The consensus of all scholars of Islam, they say that covering the face is recommended. You would not find a person coming and say, no, she should uncover. Except nowadays, those liberals, those secularists who claim to be Muslim, who would come and fight anything that protects women. So they would come, but they're not scholars. They're not people of knowledge. They are nobodies. And in a few years' time, after they die, nobody would even remember them except by cursing them. I'm talking about the great scholars of Islam. They all agree that covering the face is a virtue. It's something recommended. They differed whether it's mandatory or not. And whenever we have a difference of opinion among scholars, we have to do as our manual tells us to do, our Quran. And Allah tells us in the Quran that whenever you have a dispute, you refer back to Allah and His Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which means that refers back to the Quran and to the Sunnah. And if you look at the Quran, you would find that there are certain verses and there are verses that are not certain. So we have to, first of all, choose the certain verses and apply them. And when it comes to hijab or covering the face, we would find that the majority of the evidences in the Quran, they direct us to covering the face so that women, as in the verse of 59 Surah Al-Ahzab, that Allah tells the Prophet ﷺ, say to your wives, your daughters, and the believing women, or the women of the believers, the wives of the believers, to lower their jilbab so that they would not be recognized and hence harassed. So one of the two, either women are recognized by their faces, so they should cover so that they cannot be harassed. When they covered, people would respect them. You would never find someone harassing a woman that is wearing and covering her body from head to toe. Or it means that those who used to uncover their faces at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, at the time of the Arabs, were the concubines and the slaves. So people, bad people, thugs, would probably harass them. So Allah Azza wa Jalla instructing the women, the free women, to cover so that they would not be mixed up with these slave women or concubines. Anyway, as I said, it's an issue of dispute. You do what is safer to you at the sight of Allah. And to me, I believe firmly that covering the face is a must. Whether you are in this country or in Europe or in the US or in Canada or wherever. But if someone, it appeals to him more and he thinks that following the other opinion is correct, this is his choice, he will have to answer to Allah on the day of judgment, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. This is all the time we have. Until we meet next time, fi amanillah, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Is my heart's speech, your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance.